What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I just finished watching episode 2 of Tulsa King. My reaction is under my YouTube memberships. If you guys are new here, first of all, Happy New Year. This is the first reaction and review for 2023. If you're new here, all of my reactions are over on my YouTube memberships. I have 2 levels over there for memberships. Level 1 is for $2.99 a month. You're going to get priority replies from me, which means that when I post something, if you are a member and there could be tons of comments on there, I will reply to you first. There are special polls, and I will begin live streams this month for members only. And level 2 is for $4.99 a month, and you're going to get everything that level 1 has. Plus, you're going to get all of my reactions to all of the shows that I watch, like this one, a bunch of other ones that I have over there that I have already watched, any movies that I may watch, and all of my uncut Try Not to Laughs. Oh boy, so Mr. Manfredi. So he's obviously moved over to Tulsa because he was forced to do so because there was nothing left for him as a boss in New York City. So now he is trying to make a life. He is still trying to get used to life after prison, after being locked up for about 25 years. He is still so out of touch with life right now. He still thinks that the dispensary is illegal. He is still taking money from the dude. We see that he is trying to figure out how to get more money. So there's a lot going on in this one too. So he is looking for his daughter now. And he finds her, and apparently she's married because her last name is hyphenated. So he's going through, I guess he was on this website that unlocked more information, but he had to pay for it. So he didn't have a credit card. So they show him going through the situation. First of all, he sent over a box. I don't know what was in that box. I don't know where it went. He didn't have a credit card. So he paid a guy to use his credit card to send it off, and it was going to New York. So in the meantime, he's going through the process of trying to get a credit card. He goes to the bank. He shows the guy an ID that was expired in like 1990 something. So now he's got to go and get an ID, right? So then he goes and he basically bullies this guy next to him without saying a word so he can pass his test. The funny part is that when they were taking the picture for his ID or his permit, he turned to the side as if he was taking mugshots. That part had me cracking up. The dude that was taking the picture was like, sir, what are you doing? He must have thought that he was taking another mugshot. That was funny. So finally he went. He paid the receptionist to up his appointment to get his license. In the meantime, he got a permit. He went back to the bank, finally got a debit card, so he can use the debit card to unlock this information about his daughter. In the midst of that, the lady who he slept with went and found him, found out information about him, and then went to go see him and was honest with him and told him who she was. Tried to question him, and he didn't say much. At this point, he shut down, and he was just like, well, it's none of your business. Basically, she was like, well, if you get caught up with stuff, I can't help you. And in my head, I'm just like, well, why do you even care? Like, you were never going to see him again anyway, so why did you make it a point to go see him, to tell him that you weren't going to be able to help him? In my head, I'm like, you're going to somehow connect with him later on. I am sure of it. It almost seems like she felt like she had to tell him that. She could have just kept it to herself and moved along. And then at some point you see her in therapy, and she's talking to her therapist about her issues, and then she tells her therapist that she slept with someone who's a criminal. And he was like, oh, you don't plan on seeing him again? She's like, no. And drinks her coffee. And I'm just like, I think that's a lie. I think at some point she's going to go see him again. She's intrigued, I think. I don't know. We'll have to see how it all unfolds later on. But anyway, so the guy that he punched in the face in the first episode, he is so beyond pissed that his jaw got broken. Of course, he goes in to the laundromat, where of course they're probably laundering money through there. He basically wants him dead. Like, he wants him dead. And he's talking to Manfredi's friend's son, and they're going back and forth, and he's just like, yo, like, something's got to be done about this. Like, I'm a capo. And he was like, well, so what do you think was going to happen? So is he, type of thing. So he told him, he was like, all right, I'll speak to my father and see what we can do. So he talks to his father, I guess. They leave the bank, and Manfredi gets the phone call, and he's going back and forth with this guy, and he's basically like, you know, in true mob fashion, you gotta make it right. You know, he's like, well, how do you expect I make it right? He was like, well, you gotta pay him. He was like, I gotta pay him. And he's like, yeah, about 100,000 K. He was like, come on. He was like, I shouldn't have to. He was like, nah, I'll send him a card or something. He was like, man, he can barely talk. And he was just like, well, then you should be paying me. And I was like, yo, the way that Sylvester Stallone is playing this part so far, I know I'm only in episode 2, but yo, I am so hooked on this show and the way that he is portraying this character. This episode had me cracking up. So then he was like, all right, fine, or whatever. Like, he'll send them money. That's it. Meanwhile, the guy that we saw that looked really scared in the first episode, we see that I think he has a ranch, right? So we still don't know who he's talking to. But he basically is insinuating that Manfredi went back to Tulsa, or he's in Tulsa, to kill him. So I'm like, all right, this dude must be somebody that crossed him at some point. Meanwhile, Manfredi has no idea. Like, he's not there for that. Nobody knows anything. He's got sent there. Like, he wasn't there by his own merits. So anyway, he's trying to find all this information. He finally finds out where he's staying. And, like, I'm really trying to figure out who he's talking to. And we still don't know. So, but he does find out where he's staying. So what else happened? So now Manfredi has a meeting with the distributor, or the guy who is the supplier, the guy who is supplying all the weed to the dispensary. He's going about this as if this is some illegal situation, right? So he meets with the guy, and he's there with his driver. I forget his name. And then, what's his name? Bo, I forgot his name. The guy who owns the dispensary. So anyway, so they're now taking a trip to go see the guy who is supplying all this marijuana. So then they get there, and he gets greeted by his cousin. And his cousin already is just not having it. Okay? So he's standing there, he's looking at him. Manfredi tries to shake his hand, and he just kind of looks at him. And he's just like, you got a problem? He was just like going back and forth with him. He was like, nah. So he was just like, man, like, like, chill out. And the guy says to him, you ever been on a horse? Or something like that. And Manfredi says to him, you ever been on life support? I'm like, oh my God. These two are just going at it right now. So then the whole time he's trying to bargain with the guy, he finally meets him. He's sitting there, he's having crackers and jam. And, he's going back and forth with him, and he's basically reading him. Like, Manfredi knows his stuff. So they come to an agreement. And then later on, he finds out that the jam that he's eating is infused with THC. So now he's high. Then he's smoking it. Then they're on this car ride, and he is sitting there just like high as a kite. So then finally they get to a point where later on, at the end of everything, he finally goes back. He's got his credit card in the mail. Now he can unlock the information for his daughter. And at some point, he's walking, and he comes across the stop walk that tells you when to walk or when to wait. And he's so out of touch. He must have thought that somebody was talking to him. The thing said wait. And he was just like, what? He was looking around him. He was like, man, I've been waiting all my life. So he comes across this circle the center of the universe is what they call it. And this homeless lady is basically telling him, like, yeah, you stand in the middle, you talk, nobody hears anything. So he sees a loose horse at some point, and he's talking, and then he comes out of it. He speaks to the homeless lady. He's trying to give her money, and she's like, I don't want none of your scummy money. And then she walks off, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So then later on, after he unlocks the information for his daughter, he ends up calling. His daughter's husband picks up. He hears her voice. He's like, are those kids? He hears kids in the background. He's inquiring about the kids. And then he's like, I just want to hear her voice. So she's like, she gets on the phone, and she's like, hello. He's like, hey, how are you? She was like, well, you wanted to hear my voice, so you heard it. She ends up hanging up on him after he asks, can I see you? So it ends up with him going back to the center of the universe, and he's crying, and he gives the story earlier to the lady that he slept with, that he hasn't seen his daughter in 18 years because it was too much for her. But then when he's talking in the middle of the circle thing, he basically said that he stopped seeing her because it was too much for him to bear. So he's standing there crying, and I'm like, ugh, that sucks. So yeah, this episode was hysterical. I cannot wait to watch episode 3, you guys. But if you guys have seen it, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of episode 2 of Tulsa King. Let me know if you enjoyed my review and my thoughts. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel, hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!